How about expounding on that for us?
Well, the Brit Hadashah had already been prophesied, but and this exile from Babylon, I suppose, exile to Babylon is a bit of a wake up call. The youngest people who were exiled from the land uh, to Babylon are the oldest people who are returning to the land in the time of Nehemiah. So um, it's like by the skin of your teeth, you're still okay. There's a small thread, you're hanging by a thread, but it's still carrying on. Those of you who have eyes to see, you should be really seriously contemplating the concept of the Brit Hadashah at this point, because what would happen if you don't have the Brit Hadashah and you end up completely exiled, like the other nations from the northern Israel who have gone into the Jalut? What is what is awaiting you? That's the end. You know, your whole world is going to end unless you have a different way of doing things. But from the Second Temple, throughout the Second Temple period, you have a continuation of the state law, and in fact, I think what happens is they go in an opposite direction to northern tribes of Israel, which were exiled. They were exiled, and they were lax with regards to the Torah. So after the exile to Babylon, they returned and they became very fanatical about it, but they went in the opposite direction into a sort of a nationalist extremist sort of way, which was also proven to be wrong with the destruction of the temple in 70. That national extremist sort of way culminated really, I think, with Yannius Alexander and his attempt to make the whole country into Sadducee, and then the rise from that, the rise of the Zealots and secular Judaism. So we have many different forms of incorrect Judaic practices, or quasi-Judaic practices. And the Pharisees are the ones who are really the only ones who've been really preparing for understanding how to worship God in spirit and truth, which is what Jesus talks to Nicodemus about. When we face the final exile, how are we going to survive if our religion is based upon a sort of take like the Islamic State sort of allegory, the Judaic state, where all the laws are being implemented by judges and officials, and everything is running according to a sort of a biblical Sharia, if you understand what I'm talking about. But that's not going to continue. We're already suffering under the Romans. We can see that that's probably going to come to an end if we keep on pushing, or the Zealots keep on pushing, and the Sadducees keep on pushing, and Shammai keeps on pushing. The Romans aren't going to take it, because we're not in a friendly relationship with the Romans anymore. We've had the exile. The Jews from Rome have been expelled already. The friendliness of relationship which we had with Julius Caesar is absolutely gone and over. It's finished. That period of time is not coming back, and we've got to start thinking about what's coming, because getting into bed with the Romans like this and trying to assimilate with them, that is not what God wants for us. And anyway, it's not working. The Romans are not treating us nicely because of that either. So there is a need for a change, and the Pharisees were the only group who were saying, Brit Hadashah, this is how it's going to be. We have to get ready to enter into the new covenant. And people, I think, will be surprised to hear me saying this from an Orthodox Jewish point of view, but they don't realize, unless they are Orthodox Jews, that the Jews have been living in the new covenant from the destruction of the temple. Even beforehand, the Pharisees were preparing beforehand. That new covenant is when the Torah is written on your hearts, when the law is written in your hearts, and you're not actually being forced to observe the law under fear of sin and death. You're not under what's called the coerced covenant. We actually have a phrase for it in Judaism, which translates in English as the coerced covenant, which is basically, you will obey these laws and do this Torah, or else. And the idea is that the coerced covenant came to an end with the destruction of the Second Temple, and from then on we are now living in the new covenant, in the Brit Hadashah of Jeremiah. I think a lot of Christians don't realize that that's what Jews are doing. They think that they have something to offer Jews with regards to the new covenant. They're not realizing that Judaism is about the new covenant.